Welcome to Heidi Relationships. Today, we'll read some more stories from Reddit. But before we start, I would really appreciate if you could subscribe to the channel, like the video if you enjoyed it, and maybe leave a comment down below. That would help the channel a lot. Thank you very much in advance.
The first one is titled, "My wife stopped taking her birth control without informing me to surprise me." My wife and I have been married almost 9 months. We tied the knot last December. We came into the relationship both wanting children, however we had mutually discussed and agreed to wait until we owned a home, I finished school, and we had our finances in order more to start trying. The entirety of our relationship, she's been on the pill as her preferred method of birth control. My wife is out having dinner with her parents tonight while I'm hanging out at the house with some friends. She had ordered groceries to be delivered earlier today, and when they arrived I, of course, started to put things away. One of the items she purchased was a pregnancy test, which was such a shock that I literally felt my stomach drop when I saw it. Immediately I called her and asked why on earth she ordered a pregnancy test. Turns out about a month ago she decided to stop taking her pill because she thought we were ready for children. I asked why she wouldn't get my input on something so huge, and she replied that she wanted to surprise me. I told her there's literally 100 different surprises that I would prefer currently, told her I'd see her later, and ended the call. Her period is due later this week, so unless she plans on taking it early we won't know if she's pregnant for a few days. I'm livid. We are not in the position to become parents currently. I certainly don't want to be bringing a newborn into the world during a pandemic. I don't know if it's justified considering we are married and both eventually want children, but I feel absolutely betrayed that she would make a decision like this behind my back. We had even agreed that if somehow we got pregnant while she was on the pill that we wouldn't go through with the pregnancy. I know she'll be coming home soon, and honestly I don't even want to look at her right now or know what to say. Am I right to be upset about this? What should I do? I'm currently working a full-time job while pursuing my master's. I literally do not have the time to be a suitable parent. Edit. She just texted me. I'm so sorry that you're reacting this way. You've seemed really unhappy lately and I thought you would consider this good news. A user in the comments said, "That's so ducked up. You're absolutely justified in your reaction. Be careful thou, if she's willing to do something like this once, time to add condoms onto that shopping list." Another user said, "You're justified in feeling betrayed, because you were betrayed. I can't imagine doing this to my husband. I don't have any advice for you but have a conversation and then really think about if you'll be able to trust her again. You shouldn't have been tricked into a life decision this huge, and I'm having trouble understanding how any sensible person wouldn't see this as a deception. It's certainly not a fun surprise." The next one is titled, "Update. My wife stopped taking her birth control without informing me." I never expected the amount of replies I ended up receiving on my post, nor did I even realize the gravity of my wife's betrayal at the time of posting. I had a lot of people comment or reach out asking for an update, so here goes. I had made the decision that until we knew if she was pregnant or not that I just wanted some distance to think, cool down from my initial anger and shock. I told the wife this and spent a few days over at a buddy's house trying to process everything. Ironically, my wife's birthday fell within the days I wasn't home, so she's been extremely pissed at me, too. She ended up informing me this morning that she got her period and asked if that means I'm coming home now. I'm still feeling extremely betrayed by her, and although we did dodge the bullet this time around, I have so little trust in my wife now that I don't know if our relationship will be salvageable. I'd rather be a young divorcee than feel like I need to keep my condoms in a lockbox or something to prevent my own spouse from tampering with them. I'm not 100% sure if therapy would even be worth it considering she's still infallible in her own mind, but I guess if she sees the light and genuinely apologizes soon I'd be willing to pursue it just because I do love her. As far as I'm concerned, the ball's in her court and if she wants to try and make this right it's going to take some actions on her part that show she's truly sorry and willing to earn my trust back. I'm not sure that even if she does make the effort that our relationship is repairable at this point, but maybe after some extensive couples therapy we can figure out exactly where our relationship went wrong where she thought that behavior would be acceptable. The next one is titled, I Ada for asking my ex-wife to transplant the tree she planted on our property? My soon-to-be ex-wife, 32F, and I, 39 meters, were married for 10 years before we got separated. We have 2 homes, a main home close to NYC and a lake house upstate. We agreed she would continue living in our main home, and I would move to the lake house. 7 years ago, my wife's grandmother passed. She planted a tree at our lake house in her honor. Since this was a vacation home that I'm now turning into a permanent residence, I'm going to be doing renovations, and there's no way around the tree needing to be moved. I am willing to pay for all expenses to transplant the tree, and the aftercare to ensure that the tree survives the process. I am willing to wait until the right time to do this. However, I heard late fall is the best time, so we do need to start planning it now. My ex-wife does not want to transplant the tree at all. She wants to be able to come over and keep visiting. It's a nice spot. There's a bench next to it and it's next to the lake, and she would spend a lot of time out there. My girlfriend does not feel comfortable with my ex-wife coming to my house whenever she wants. My ex-wife says everyone she talked to about transplanting the tree says there is a risk of the tree not surviving, and she's not willing to take that chance, even though I'm willing to do whatever is needed to make sure the risk is as small as possible. However, I really don't know much about transplanting trees. I've never had to do this before. I Ada for asking her to transplant the tree? A user in the comments said, NTA. Tell her straight up that the tree is in the way and will be getting moved regardless. Her only 2 choices are 1. You have the tree professionally moved to a property she owns, or 2. They raise the tree when the renovations happen. Tell her she has until X date to tell you if she wants it moved. If she doesn't make arrangements to do so by that date, then the renovations will proceed however they need to. Another user said, Info, will the tree need to be moved no matter what? It sounds like it's standing in the way of your renovations, is that right? If it has to be transplanted no matter what, it might as well go to her property, I assume. You're being plenty generous already, and I don't think it's unreasonable not to want your ex-wife visiting and hanging around your property anytime she wants. The next one is titled, Update, I Ada for asking my ex-wife to transplant the tree she planted on our property? I spoke to my ex-wife again and told her that this time of year was the best time to move a tree and give it the highest chance of surviving, and that construction was going to start anyway, and even if we didn't move the tree until the last possible moment, there was still a good chance it could get damaged just from all of the work being done around it. She confessed to me that one of the reasons she did not want the tree to get moved was because she wasn't sure if she was going to keep the house or sell it because of the memories. She was unwilling to come up with another plan. So, I had the tree transplanted to her mother's house, which isn't far from hers. Her mother talked to a landscaper, and I put a bench and some bushes around it. It's a nice spot. My ex-wife isn't happy, but the tree seems to be. Thank you to everyone for your advice. The next one is titled, Wibta if I ask my dad to not being his wife to my wedding? I'm supposed to be getting married in less than a month. Fiancé, 30M, and I, 28F, have already delayed it once in the initial outbreak of the virus. Things were looking okay for a while, so we booked my workplace as our venue. I work in a historic home that functions as a restaurant, B&B, and offers wedding packages. Anyway, restrictions have been tightened and now it's a max of 10 people allowed for weddings, not including the officiate or photographer. I'm already bummed that one of my grandparents won't make it due to surgery, but their health comes first for me. Which brings me to my dad's wife. I hesitate to call her a stepmother since she did no mothering whatsoever to my sister and me. I find her to be a generally unpleasant person to be around even though there's really nothing wrong with her. It feels more like an animal instinct when I'm around her, like my hackles are rising. She's never liked us either and gave very preferential treatment to her daughter who's 10 years my junior. Things will already be kinda tense at the wedding since both my parents are still petty towards each other, even though they are apparently made up years ago for all the good that's done. And I just want this incredibly stressful event to just be over with. I don't want the added stress of having to play nice with someone I truly don't give two ducks about. WIBTA if I ask my dad to just come alone so I can avoid all the unpleasantness? I feel like I'd be since my dad would be alone as the other guests are mostly from my mom's side. Sorry for the poopy format, on mobile. Edit. I should have added the context of the relationship with my dad too. I've never seen him as much of a father figure, more like a cool older guy friend I was raised with. I'm not close with my mother either due to her religious pressuring and general attitude of a preteen girl, but I figured that info might be a mite more helpful. A user in the comments said, NTA. But you should communicate it properly. Talk about key factors, 10 people limit. You and his wife aren't close to each other. You would like to make room for people that are close to your heart. In these situations, the father usually threatens to not come either and cause a strain on your relationship with him. But that speaks volumes of what kind of person he is. Another user said, look, I'm a firm believer in the rule that it's your wedding day and you and your groom should do as you please. But I think you need to slow down and enjoy your own wedding. I get that it's stressful, you've had it postponed, your guests are limited. But in such a short post you referred to your wedding as nothing other than a stressful event. It should be an amazing day. You're NTA, but because you should make this day your best day and enjoy every minute. The next one is titled, Update. WIBTA if I ask my dad to not bring his wife to my wedding? So, update for anyone who read my initial post from a few weeks ago. I actually did ask my dad this despite the general advice from commenters. I gave the reasons as calmly and logically as possible and he was predictably unsupportive. I understand that and so we've decided to postpone the wedding once more to July 11th. We were initially meant to be married on June 6th, our 10-year anniversary. My fiancé jokes that it's kinda awesome to get married on 7/11. Thanks to those who both supported my question and called me out on it. I admit I'm still conflicted but both DH and I have decided that should the limitations remain at 10 people into July we'll put both of our foots down and lay down our rules, family be damned. I've spent enough time worrying and stressing about this day that I just want to enjoy the generosity of my workplace and the people who want to celebrate this milestone with us. I will not tolerate the pettiness that runs rampant in my family anymore. The next one is titled, I called my patient's mistress, but I was just doing what I was told. This happened back in 2009. I was working part-time at a doctor's office while I was in nursing school. I was one of the receptionists and did all the filing and cataloging and such. It was boring work, but the doctor, my boss, guaranteed me a job after nursing school so that's why I did it. This particular doctor was an orthopedic surgeon. We had lots of patients coming in for MRIs, CT scans, and X-rays. This one particular patient, Frank, was scheduled to have surgery in a couple days and he needed to come and pick up his MRIs and X-rays from our office and bring them with him to his procedure. Yes, looking back at how ass-backwards things used to be is so frustrating. All these things are 100% electronic now, and even back then they were too, but my boss was old school. So anyway, I called Frank to tell him to come pick up his images, but he didn't answer. I called him again during lunch, but still no answer, so I left him a message. The following day I called him again, but still no answer. It was imperative that Frank got his images or else he wouldn't be able to have his surgery. So, I looked in his file to see if he had any other contact information. He listed his home phone number, as well as his wife's cell. I called his house and left a message, and I also called his wife, Amy, but she didn't answer either, so I left her a message as well. The office manager, Diane, told me to just call whoever was listed in his emergency contacts because if Frank didn't get his images and missed his surgery, then she would have to do a whole new stack of paperwork to reschedule him and she didn't want to be bothered. I looked to see if there was an emergency contact, and Frank listed a woman named Helen. Relation to patient? Girlfriend? I told Diane I didn't want to call Helen when I had already left a message for Amy, as it would put me in an awkward position. Diane said that as long as the patient listed them as an emergency contact, I could call them. She also said that it's not uncommon for couples to be separated but still legally married for insurance reasons, and that this could possibly be the case for Frank and Amy, which I guess made sense. I really wanted to believe that no one would be stupid enough to put their secret lover as their emergency contact. I didn't want to get fired for being insubordinate, so I called Helen and she actually answered her phone. I was secretly hoping she wouldn't, and told her Frank's images needed to be picked up prior to his surgery. She came by during lunch, got the images, and then left. I immediately called Frank again to let him know that Helen picked up his images and to not worry about it, but this fool wasn't answering his phone, so I left him another message. A couple hours later, Amy called back and said she wasn't able to answer before because she was teaching, but she got our message and was coming to pick up Frank's images now that school was done for the day. I told her that the images had already been picked up. I tried to be as vague as possible. Amy, who picked them up? I know Frank is still busy at his office and hasn't had the chance to come get them. Me. Again, trying really hard to be vague. We called someone from his emergency contact list. Amy. Was it his brother, Steve? Me. At this point I'm really nervous. No, not his brother. Amy. Well then who? Me. Helen. Amy. Who is Helen? I don't know anyone named Helen. Me. I'm not sure, but since she was on Frank's emergency contact list and no one else was answering their phone, we called her, and she already came and got the images. Confused, Amy hung up. The following day was Frank's surgery. The day after Frank's surgery, my boss jokingly asked me, "What the hell did you do to that guy?" He came in all pissed at me saying that my secretary told his wife about his other girlfriend. I told my boss what happened, and that Diane told me to call the girlfriend, and he understood. Diane tried to throw me under the bus by saying I didn't tell her that Helen was Frank's girlfriend, and that I had told her Helen was just a friend, and that she never would have given me the green light to call a patient's mistress, but I reminded her in front of my boss that she had said it was possible for Frank and Amy to be married but separated. This witch was trying to cover her ass because she probably thought it was some kind of HIPAA violation, but nothing ever happened. I was 18 years old at the time and just did whatever my superiors told me because I was really thirsty for job security after college, but I ended up not working there and went to work at a hospital instead. This is the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed the relationship stories. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video and write a comment. I really appreciate your support and it helps my channel so much. Thank you.